Okay, I'd like to bring the Upper Moreland Township regular meeting for November 10th, 2025 to order. First thing I would like to say is this board met in an executive session over a labor issue. Next, a moment of silence, please. And if you would stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pat, would you take roll, please?
Thank you, yes. Ward 1?
Present.
Ward 2?
Present.
Ward 3?
Present.
Ward 4?
Present.
Ward 5?
Here.
Ward 6? Ward 7?
Here.
Mr. President, all Board of Commissioner members are in attendance this evening, as is Township Solicitor Alex Baumler and Township Manager Pat Stasio.
Thank you. We have a couple presentations tonight for the police department. And Chief, would you take care of these for us, please?
Yes, sir. Amen. Good evening, everyone. It's my honor this evening to introduce our newest officer for his official swearing in as an officer of our department. Officer Michael Daly here. Before I do turn the podium over to Magisterial District Justice Mert for the swearing in ceremony, I would like to provide you with a brief biography about our new officer. Officer Daly is a graduate of Springford High School and Westchester University, where he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Marketing and Finance. Following his graduation, Officer Daly worked in the private sector before choosing to follow in his father's footsteps as a police officer. On October 10th, 2025, Officer Daly completed his Act 120 certification training at Temple University Police Academy and is joining us tonight for his official swearing in with our department. So I'll turn it over to Judge Mert.
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, members of the Board of Commissioners. It's a great honor to be here to swear in another officer to join our police department. Officer Daly, do we have someone who would hold the Bible? Okay. I'll ask you to put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. I, Michael A. Daly.
I, Michael A. Daly.
Do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend.
Do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America.
the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America,
The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and the Township of Upper Moreland.
the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and the Township of Upper Moreland.
I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity and integrity.
I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity and integrity.
And I pledge to uphold, obey, and enforce the law
And I pledge to uphold, obey, and enforce the law
without consideration to a person's race, color, sex,
without consideration to a person's race, color, sex,
religious creed, sexual orientation, age,
religious creed, sexual orientation, age,
national origin, ancestry, handicap, or disability.
national origin, ancestry, handicap, or disability.
I will obey the rules and regulations
I will obey the rules and regulations
and the policies and procedures
and the policies and procedures
governing sworn members of the Upper Moreland Township Police Department.
governing sworn members of the Upper Moreland Township Police Department.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Tom. We're going to do the other one, then do them all.
Okay. My second item this evening is to recognize the retirement of Lieutenant James Kelly, who has served our community for the past 30 years. A little background on Lieutenant Kelly. James J. Kelly enlisted as a police officer with the Upper Moreland Township Police Department on September 23rd, 1996. Officer Kelly began his career in the Patrol Division, providing uniform patrol services to the residents of Upper Moreland Township. In 2000, he was appointed to the Detective Division, where he led complex investigations into major crimes and narcotics violations. Promoted to the rank of sergeant in 2007, he returned to the Patrol Division as a uniformed supervisor. In 2010, he was reassigned to the Detective Division and served as a detective sergeant, overseeing the operations, investigative operations, and case management of the Detective Division. In 2022, Detective Sergeant Kelly was promoted to the rank of lieutenant and assumed command of both the patrol and investigations divisions, directing departmental operations with distinction. Lieutenant Kelly has served in numerous specialized roles during his career with our department, including becoming one of the department's first bicycle officers. He also served as a member of the department's honor guard, a field training officer, a squad officer in charge. He also served with distinction as both a negotiator and an operator on the Montgomery County SWAT East Region team. Additionally, Lieutenant Kelly has been widely recognized for his exemplary service and contributions to law enforcement, receiving more than 25 commendations from federal, state, and local county agencies. There also is, which I cannot confirm, some understanding that Lieutenant Kelly has never used a sick day in 30 years. He alleges that. I still have not been able to actually verify that, but it's very important for us to recognize Lieutenant Kelly for all the contributions he made to our community and to our department. That being said, we do have a few presentations. First and foremost, I'd like to present Lieutenant Kelly with his retirement credentials. So these are for you. Thank you very much. This is also a proclamation by the Board of Commissioners detailing your career with our organization and thanking you for that. And last but not least, one thing we'd like to start to do is we've taken the time to take some of Lieutenant Kelly's badges and some of the patches from the units that he actually has served on in the organization and present this to him as well as a recognition for all his service to our township and our community. So this is something we would like to present to you as well. So great thanks. Appreciate you. You are
Before we do that, Jim, I would like to say personally, it's a little emotional. You've done a lot for this township. Your family has done a lot, putting up with all the things that we made you do. Didn't make you, you did them on your own. You led this township for an awful long time in detectives. I meet with about 5 or 6 chiefs around the area. They're all retired now. Your name comes up all the time. And that's just a credit to, it's not just Upper Moreland. There's a couple names here that are brought up in my discussions all the time. And you're one of them. You have integrity. I just want to say thank you from myself personally and the board for all that you have done over the years and your family, donating your time, even when you're not an officer, you still have a family. Thank you very, very much.
Go ahead.
Charles just gave me his money for the gifts. I'll send an email to everybody for the gifts. He said it was 30 last year. He said it was 30 last year. I'll send an email.
Didn't have it, I'll think of it. Otherwise, I'll forget.
Take memo, right?
Oh, yeah. Do you still have it?
I think I have it from last year.
Okay,
still,
good.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Makes it look like I'm buying the vote.
Good, how are you? Thank you.
Thanks.
That always makes it easier. Uh-oh.
Come on.
You ready? Sure.
It was a moment ago.
Okay, now we'll bring the public hearing up next. I'll take a motion to open public hearing 1975.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Against, abstain, so moved. Alex, would you proceed from here?
Sure thing. Just briefly, this is an application of Fred Bean's Auto Group. They are seeking conditional use approval to permit an automobile service use on a portion of the property located at 601 Davisville Road. I'll turn it over to the applicant's attorney to put on his case in a few moments here, but I just want to move the township's exhibits into the record and then kind of give my spiel about party status. So I'll start marking the exhibits. We're going to call these T1 through 7. T1 will be a copy of the application for conditional use, and that application is dated September 19th, 2025. Exhibit T2 is a copy of the proof of publication of the notice of this evening's conditional use application, which was published in the Intelligencer newspaper on October 26th and November 2nd, 2025. Exhibit T3 is a photograph evidencing proof of posting of the property at 601 Davisville Road with notice of tonight's public hearing. Exhibit T4 is a copy of the Township Engineer Gilmore and Associates application review letter, and that is dated November 4th, 2025. Exhibit T5 is a copy of the Township's Traffic Engineer Bowman's review letter, and that is dated November 4th, 2025. Exhibit T6 is a copy of the Montgomery County Planning Commission's application review letter, and that is dated October 7th, 2025. And Exhibit T7 is a copy of the Township Advisory Planning Agency's October 16th, 2025 meeting minutes, which evidences their review of this application. Just to get it out of the way at the beginning, I'm going to ask if there's anybody in the audience that is seeking party status to this application this evening. Just by background, party status is a separate process aside from public comment, which everybody will have the opportunity to do so at the end of the testimony and evidence that's presented this evening. But party status would afford you the ability to, with your own attorney, to present evidence, to cross-examine the witnesses of the applicant, and if there was an appeal taken on this matter, to have an ability to intervene in that appeal in the Court of Common Pleas. Generally speaking, in order to qualify for party status, the law says that you have to be within the zone of interest, which is around 500 feet, give or take, of the actual subject parcel. And that can be a residential or any kind of business interest that you might have, so long as it's within that location. So, saying that, I'll ask, is anybody here seeking party status to the application this evening? All right, hearing none, I will close the books on kind of my introductory comments, and I will turn it over to the applicant's attorney.
Great. Thanks, Alex. Good evening, everybody. Rob Lewis from Kaplan Stewart. I represent Fred Beans, the applicant and equitable owner of 601 Davisville Road. With me this evening is Bob Jordan, our civil engineer from Woodrow & Associates, as well as Jim Necker, our architect, and Tony Giannotti, who is the director of real estate for Fred Beans. As is my practice, I've handed to the board pre-marked exhibit packages. I believe I also will be able to bring them all up on the screen if my technological prowess doesn't fail me. If the board would allow me a few minutes, I'd like to identify those exhibits for the record, and in doing so, try and provide some background on the application. And at that point, I can call Mr. Jordan as my first witness. Mr. President, is that acceptable to you? Thank you. Thank you. So the first exhibit in the package, Exhibit A1, is simply a copy of the deed to the property, vesting legal title in Cagle Associates, LP. Exhibit A2 is a copy of the agreement of sale between Cagle and Fred Beans. The agreement of sale with the deed confers standing on Fred Beans to seek the conditional use approval that brings us here this evening. Applicant's Exhibit A3 is a copy of the conditional use application along with the addendum that was attached thereto that was filed with the township on September 10th. As your solicitor noted, we are seeking conditional use approval in accordance with Section 350-83 of the Upper Moreland Township zoning ordinance to permit an automobile service use in the CC Commercial Core zoning district. As the board may be aware, over the past several years, Fred Beans has actually purchased a number of additional local automobile dealerships, most of them along Easton and York Roads over in Abington Township. And so while you may be familiar with those, we're going to try and relate that to their presence here in Upper Moreland with this application. I also like when I start any conditional use application, in case there are members of the public that may not be familiar with what a conditional use is, if the board would just grant me a little bit of leniency, I just want to address what a conditional use is and really what it isn't, so that anybody that's interested can have a sense of what we're doing this evening. It's important at the outset to note a conditional use is not an exception or a deviation to the zoning ordinance. We are not here seeking a variance. We're not seeking relief from the zoning ordinance. A conditional use is a use to which the applicant is entitled, provided that the specific standards that are enumerated in the ordinance are demonstrated by the applicant. The existence of a conditional use provision in your zoning ordinance is indicating a legislative determination that the use is consistent with the municipality zoning plan and is a use which is presumptively consistent with the public health, safety, and welfare. The standard will go on and on. I won't bore the board with it. But really what the standard amounts to is if there are objective criteria in the zoning ordinance, it's the applicant's burden to establish compliance with those objective criteria. If there are general criteria in the ordinance, the burden would then shift to an objector, as Mr. Baumler pointed out, a party, somebody that may take party status. It would be their burden to demonstrate through specific testimony and evidence that the proposed use is going to have a greater detrimental impact on the public health, safety, and welfare than would typically be associated with that use. So the presumption lies with the applicant. The burden really on a conditional use would lie with an objector. This evening, the conditional use that we are seeking, that auto repair facility, really does not have specifically identified objective criteria. So there is not a lot specifically from the ordinance that would be our burden. Nonetheless, I know we are here this evening and the board has questions. We will do our best through the testimony and through my presentation this evening to try and answer as many of those questions as we can. I do really only intend to call Mr. Jordan, but as I mentioned, I do have Tony and I do have Jim to answer any questions that the board may have that Mr. Jordan and I haven't addressed at the outset. So moving back quickly to our exhibits, applicant's exhibit A4, which is the image on the screen, is an aerial image of 601 Davisville Road, the property that's the subject of this application. And I'll pause there for a moment. Fred Beans owns and operates 30 dealerships throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Fred has recently purchased a number of those local dealerships that I mentioned. And in conjunction with purchasing those local dealerships, Fred has made substantial investments in those dealerships with renovations and improvements. If you have visited any of those dealerships recently, hopefully you'll notice the quality of the product that Fred Beans puts into those dealerships, his attention to aesthetics, but also, I'm sure you all are familiar with those dealerships. They're very constrained geographically. No room to expand on their current locations. And part of what Fred Beans is doing in investing in our community as a whole, Abington and Upper Moreland, has involved finding a location to make sure he can serve and provide the necessary support for those dealerships. That support involves administrative personnel, parts storage and distribution, as well as collision repair. To expand Fred Beans' offerings as well with respect to collision repair was also an important element to his local presence. So after a pretty exhaustive search, we have entered into an agreement for the purchase of 601 Davisville Road. And turning to 601 specifically, 601 Davisville is a little bit more than 6 acres located in the township's commercial core zoning district. Property is presently improved with a 79,000 square foot commercial industrial building that has principally been occupied by Premier Office Solutions and Y2K9 dog sports training facility. We have included in our exhibit package, applicant's exhibit A5. This is a survey of the property prepared by Woodrow and Associates, detailing really the existing improvements on that site. The existing building and the improvements here do predate the commercial core zoning district. So the building and several of the improvements thereon are non-conforming with respect to those commercial core requirements. Most notably, the building design. When the Board of Commissioners adopted the commercial core, there was some anticipation of having a different aesthetic facing the street. really seeing, I think, more retail to add to the commercial, and a retail should obviously have a different appearance. Our building is still more of that industrial, commercial feel on Davisville, but our building is also consistent with a number of the buildings on that stretch, most notably off-plan left. It's a nearly identical building to our left, which I guess that is south on Davisville Road. Both of these buildings, but particularly 601, the loading facilities are actually located at the front of the building. On this plan, on the right-hand side, that jog in the building, that actually is the tractor trailer loading docks. They kind of face in that L shape. And then you can see a number of other loading facilities on the facade that faces Davisville Road. Access to 601 Davisville is also by a shared driveway with that adjoining near mirror image property. The vast majority of the parking for the existing facility is to the rear of the building. And really the principal facade almost faces the drive aisle as you come up from Davisville Road. The building itself, or the property itself, if you have been out there and if you can read the plan, has a lot of topography. There's a pretty substantial slope. You have an initial very steep slope up from Davisville Road to the property. Obviously a flattened out area for the building and the parking, and then a gradual slope from the existing rear parking facility all the way up to the residential properties to the rear. There's residential properties fronting on Cowbell. The building itself sets up very well for what Mr. Beans is looking to do. Our proposal really generally involves the complete renovation of the interior of the building, with the exception that Y2K9 will remain on site. So they occupy about 20,000 square feet plan right here, and they will remain in the facility. They have a significant term left on their lease, but Fred will occupy the remainder of the building for a combination of 3 uses. 2 of those uses are by right uses under your code. The first is office support personnel, mainly accounting type of uses for Fred. The second is a parts warehouse, which again is a by right use. I'll come back to that in a moment. And then the third portion of the use, which is what brings us here this evening, is the collision or the auto repair facility. We have included in our exhibit package at applicant's exhibit A6, a couple of plan sheets, if I can get them to pop up, that kind of detail how that interior space will be laid out. The space you see in green on this plan is the parts warehouse. You can see that occupies probably the largest portion of the site. The parts warehouse, access to that facility will actually utilize those existing loading docks facing Davisville. And you can see at the top of the screen, there is the difference between the box truck deliveries, which really are the outgoing parts going to the various dealerships, and then utilizing the existing tractor trailer loading facility to the plan right. And that's mainly the deliveries coming into the site. The parts warehouse will service a number of Fred Beans dealerships. It is an active operation. It does run throughout the entire day and oftentimes onto the weekends. But again, that's a by right component of this. The blue space on here you can see is the office and support, and then the reddish pink area is the collision repair. The collision repair facility will really be serviced by the rear of the building. And if I can manage to get to another plan. The next plan in the exhibit package is applicant's exhibit A7. And the collision repair is where we're doing really the only improvements, physical improvements to the outside of the property. And with respect to the collision repair, we will be making some additional cuts into the building because they will have roll-up doors so that the vehicles can go inside. All service of those vehicles is done inside of the building. This is a fully climate-controlled environment. So it's not an old school facility where they leave the doors open all day and you have to listen to the air hammers going all day. These roll-up doors will close, vehicles will go inside, all the work will be done inside. But to the rear of the facility, we're proposing about a 10,000 square foot expansion of the parking lot, and that's to accommodate service vehicles and to provide some additional parking. You'll note on the plan, applicant's Exhibit A7, that the spaces that are being created in the middle of the property are designated at a smaller dimension. The ordinance, one of the few specific objective criteria for an auto repair facility is to allow for repair vehicles to be stored. And it specifically provides that you can provide a smaller dimension for those because they are not parking spaces. It is simply where vehicles awaiting repair are allowed to be kept. You're also technically allowed to stack those 3 deep because it's not anticipated that an average person is driving or utilizing those spaces. We are not taking advantage of that 3 deep stacking. We do have drive aisle access to all of those spaces. And then furthest plan bottom here, some additional standard parking spaces to ensure we have enough parking for not only our employees, but to continue to service the Y2K9. Their operations are certainly more busy after standard business hours and then on the weekend, so it's a pretty complementary situation. The parking that is still denoted along Davisville Road, which is existing parking, in all likelihood, much if not all of that will actually be eliminated simply to clean up that front area. It'll allow the loading for the parts warehouse to flow much better than loading flows today. If you've ever been out there today and see a tractor trailer trying to negotiate, if there are any vehicles there, it makes it a challenge. So we are likely to eliminate much of that parking simply to facilitate our loading. An important part of this plan, we have spent quite a bit of time with our engineers and with our architects trying to devise this plan mainly to lessen any impacts and to reduce any cutting into that existing vegetative buffer that exists on the property. And I'd like to come back then, to, if I can, to, excuse me, if I can get it to come up, to applicant's exhibit, I think it's A4. On this plan, you'll note that there is a very significant vegetated buffer to the rear of our property that buffers our property from the neighbors on Cowbell. Our goal here was to minimize our intrusion into that, to leave as much of it as we possibly could. The ordinance prescribes that parking is actually allowed to be as close as 15 feet from our residential neighboring property line. Our plan is proposing to keep that parking setback 134 feet, so dramatically exceeding that ordinance requirement. Likewise, a building can be within 30 feet of a residential property line, and we're proposing to leave the building as it is, which is about 240 or 250 feet from that residential property line. So our goal was to minimize that intrusion, keep as much of that existing vegetative buffer as we can. And in order to do that, we have proposed to build a retaining wall, as opposed to creating our flat space and then simply grading it out, which would necessitate clearing out a lot of trees. Fred is going to bear pretty significant expense to build this retaining wall that you see along the edge of the parking. The retaining wall at its height will be about 8 feet, and then it will taper down around the ends. So that allows my client to not only minimize that intrusion, keep all that existing vegetation, but it also acts as its own buffer. Because again, the residential properties to the rear all sit dramatically higher than our property. So any parking that occurs along that retaining wall, they will already have that built-in anywhere from 4 to 8 foot screening wall from the retaining wall. So nothing that occurs in that area will add headlight glare or anything of that nature into the rear of the property. It'll simply go right into the retaining wall itself. We will have to put, for safety purposes, a fence along the top of that retaining wall, and we will work out those details as we get closer to building construction. As I mentioned, there really are no direct objective criteria in the code to satisfy, but I would like to call Mr. Jordan. If the board would allow me, I'll probably have him adopt my opening as the bulk of his testimony and then ask him a few follow-up questions and then answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay, you'll just have to swear, be sworn in.
And if I can.
You want to do them both?
Can I have Tony, Jim, and Bob all sworn in case we need them to answer any
Sure.
questions? Great.
Robert Jordan, Jordan.
James Necker, Necker.
Anthony Giannotti, Geonnott. Bob, if you could just provide your full business address for the record, please.
Sure. Woodrow Associates. The address is 1108 North Bethlehem Pike, Lower Gwinnett, Pennsylvania, 19002.
And how are you, what's your current employment with Woodrow and Associates?
I'm the Vice President and Project Manager with Woodrow Associates for 30 years now.
And have you previously testified before local municipalities in conditional use or zoning matters?
I have.
And in those proceedings, were you offered and accepted as an expert in civil engineering and land planning?
I was.
Mr. Baumler, I don't know if the board has any questions as to Mr. Jordan's credentials.
I just want to stipulate to his.
Fine.
Thank you. I'd offer him as an expert in civil engineering and land planning. Bob, you heard my long-winded introduction to the board this evening. If you were called to testify, would you testify to the facts as I presented them to the board this evening?
Yes, I will.
All right. Any corrections, any additions or subtractions?
No.
Okay. Bob, in your own words, can you just take applicant's exhibit A7 and just give a brief summary of the improvements that are proposed for the project?
Absolutely. As Rob mentioned, we are proposing some additional parking spaces constructed in the rear of the property. We will be constructing an 8-foot retaining wall that tapers from 4 to 8 feet. In that space, we're preserving as much of the existing vegetation, and we do not perceive too much tree removal. The tree removal will be kept to a minimum. Tree removal will be kept to a minimum, and the existing screening intact. The remaining portion of the spaces in the center section of the area will be restriped for storage of the vehicles that were in discussion.
And Bob, am I correct that there are specifically designated storage spaces in the center of that parking lot?
Yes.
And those are designed to meet the ordinance criteria for repair vehicle storage?
Yes.
And Bob, have you had an opportunity to review the township's engineer's review letter of this project?
Yes, we have.
And you're comfortable that during subsequent submissions to the township that any of the engineering issues can be addressed with the township's engineer?
Yes.
That will include a requirement to address stormwater management for any additional impervious, is that correct?
Correct.
And Bob, you heard me mention that there are no objective criteria in the code with respect to this proposed conditional use, but there are a couple dimensions that I think are important. Was I correct in my representation to the board that the proposed parking will be approximately 130 feet from the rear property line?
Yes.
Whereas the ordinance would otherwise permit 15 feet?
Yes.
And the building will remain at about 230 feet, where the ordinance would otherwise permit about 30 feet?
Yes.
And are you, in addition to stormwater management and other things in the engineer's review letter, we will also be required to address any new lighting facilities, correct?
Correct.
And those lighting facilities will have to comply with all township ordinances with respect to spillover and or glare?
Yes.
And have you done a preliminary analysis to make sure that we can comply with those requirements?
Yes, we have. They will comply.
Bob, it is not technically our burden with respect to a conditional use, but there are general criteria in the code that have to do with nuisance and detrimental impact to the public health, safety, and welfare. Based on your knowledge of the proposed use and those ordinance criteria, is it your expert opinion that the proposed use will not have a detrimental impact on the public health, safety, or welfare?
Correct. Will not.
And the use will comply with any applicable noise or nuisance requirements?
Yes.
Thank you. I do know that through the planning agency and some conversations we've had with the township zoning officer, that the Board of Commissioners is going to have some questions for us. I tried to head off at least one of those and had Mr. Giannotti get some additional information for me with respect to hours of operation and deliveries or truck deliveries. So if the board would permit me, may I put that evidence into the record?
Absolutely. That was my next question.
I assume so. Wanted to make sure that the parts warehouse is a permitted by right use. Technically, our conditional use this evening is not for that, but I'm sure that the commissioners are concerned and want to just understand the magnitude of that use. As I mentioned at the outset, that use is more or less an around-the-clock operation. I'm trying to pull up A6. Sorry. There we go. That operation, as I mentioned, is the operation that faces Davisville. So that is not the portion of the use that will face any of the residential neighborhood. But that is the only portion of the operation that utilizes tractor trailer deliveries. This facility is likely, when it is fully operational, to have about 7 tractor trailers per day. And those do happen in the overnight hours. To summarize kind of that operation, each of the dealers or manufacturers delivers parts by tractor trailer. They come into this facility in the overnight hours, and then in the morning, the box trucks are loaded and those go out and deliver to the individual dealerships. So again, in those overnight hours, there will be 7 tractor trailer deliveries on a regular basis. And then during the day, the drivers of the box trucks will start to leave usually between 5 and 7 a.m. And there are a total of 20 in that fleet. And they will be running out to the dealerships during the day. All of those vehicles, all of the delivery vehicles, the box trucks, are back at the facility by 6 p.m. So the parts warehouse, from an operational standpoint from the outside, would then stop operating until the next set of delivery trucks comes in the overnight hours. Again, part of the permitted use of the site. With respect to the collision or car star use, Fred Beans does not currently have any municipal contracts for towing, so they are not a location where routinely you're going to have any accident that happens on our roadways come there in the middle of the night. So if an accident happens on the turnpike at 2 o'clock in the morning, typically that is going to be towed either to a municipal facility or somewhere else. So they are not typically coming to us. We do not have an in-house towing operation here, so we are not out there on the roadways participating in those. Wrecks can be towed in here. So if a wreck is towed in the middle of the night to Upper Moreland and is housed here, communication with insurance company says, yes, it's repairable. It can be towed at that point over to Fred Beans, and that usually will happen during standard business hours, 8 to 5. Those standard business hours will also apply for anybody that comes in. If your car is drivable, but you're seeking collision or auto repair, those are the standard business hours at 8 to 5, Monday through Saturday. So typically the car star itself is not operating after business hours. If all goes well, it will be a busy operation. They are anticipating about 19 vehicles a week at full capacity. But again, most of that is happening during standard business hours, and we're able to have our roll-up doors closed, so you're not having all that noise coming out of the facility. With that, unless the board has any questions for me, I think that's the end of our direct testimony. And obviously you have me, you have Mr. Jordan, you have Mr. Necker, and you have Mr. Giannotti to answer any questions.
I'll start off with a few. Like I said, I think Paul and Alex have talked to you. One of my concerns, I know you say you don't have any direct control. I work for a business, and my family is a part owner of next door of this project. And behind us, if somebody backs in, normally tow trucks, they have their alarms on them. And you can't tell me they're not delivered during the night because I'm next to one of them, another dealership, and it does happen. So that's a noise problem that it's not that often, not every night, whatever. Is this repair as far as collision?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a collision repair, not a transmission, and that's...
It's not just
Okay, so it's
oil
collision.
and transmission. This includes collision repair, yes.
Okay, so when those trucks back in, that's where, when they're delivered, this will not be gated, correct?
Correct, because the parking, let me come back to that plan.
I'm only concerned with the backside.
Yep. So we had contemplated gating the rear facility. You can even see in this original plan, there was the idea of gating the rear. But because we do want to try and eliminate this parking along the frontage, and because we have the Y2K9 user here, we really can't gate this access because it would deny access for employees and for Y2K9. But what we also tried to do was have standard vehicle spaces along the perimeter, and then the spaces in the middle, which are the vehicle storage, vehicle repair storage spaces. We have made sure to provide complete circular access to those. It's not to say, I agree, there will be a tow truck that comes in there and drops a vehicle off and the backup sirens will happen. It's unfortunately a fact of life. But given this operation, the number of those occurring outside of standard business hours will be very minimal.
Okay, I do agree with that it'll be minimal, but it's one of our concerns of our residents. Secondly, looking at this, you said stacked parking. Is that allowed in our zoning?
Yes, your ordinance with respect to this use specifically calls out repair vehicle storage spaces and provides that in the commercial core or for an auto repair facility, you may have vehicle storage spaces which are only 8 by 16, which is obviously different than a standard parking dimension, and that they may be stacked as many as 3 deep. So if we were to do that, you would usually do that down here where, you know, only employees are really moving those vehicles around. We have decided not to do that triple stack on this site, and instead utilize the center of the parking facility here for those types of vehicles, among other things, because we wanted to make it easier to access those vehicles.
Okay. Our spaces are 9 by 18, just so you know. Just to clarify it, since you said that. So that's a no to any gates to the back and any time limits back there. Next, parts distribution. That is all done from the front of the building. Are we adding all those right there, those loading docks? Okay, right now they're windows.
There are some loading facilities on the front of the building today, but we will be revising those locations. Let me pull up that existing conditions plan, that'll help. So there's a hodgepodge on the front of that building right now. There are some former loading facilities that were filled in, and there are other spaces that are still able to be utilized as loading. We are, one of the biggest challenges over the last couple of months was dealing with the grade and dealing with those deliveries for those parts. As I'm sure you're aware, when a box truck comes in, a box truck is not at ground level when it goes to deliver. So we have been looking at everything from actually having lifts that would raise the box trucks up to the current height of the loading docks, to dealing with grade through ramps and so forth. But that is, when you take the architectural plans and where the warehouse is, we will deal with the grade either through the lifts, Tony, or through ramps, and all of that loading will occur on the front of the building.
And are we assuming all those are box trucks or the little cars running around?
Correct.
Okay. All tractor and trailers will be unloaded in the bays that are there now?
That's correct.
Okay.
And you will not have what you have out there today with respect to empty trailers on site. These are manufacturers' vehicles, so they will deliver and they will get out of there. So we will not be routinely having empty trailers sitting out in the front of this site.
Okay, is there any plans for, since we are going to be looking at a bay of garage doors on Davisville Road, any additional landscaping on the ground that falls away towards the street?
The simple answer is yes.
Okay.
Exactly what that looks like, we're not sure yet. We have not developed a full landscaping plan. And I'm gonna, if I am able to do this.
It's all grass now, I think.
Oh, yeah, and just to show anybody that hasn't been there recently, I can't get it to work, but try it this way. I think my computer now froze. Given the slope from Davisville up to our site, there are going to be some challenges with what can and can't be planted there. You're not going to put standard street trees along that frontage. They won't take. But Fred Beans is very concerned also with aesthetics. So he does want to do plantings on site for himself. One of the, and maybe I can go back to, let me come back to the aerial view. It'll help. One of the challenges that we have is just the amount of space available at the top of the slope, but there should be room at the top of that slope to, at the very least, put in shrubs, something that looks nice that will provide some additional buffering there. And that was raised both by the county in their review letter and raised by the planning agency to try and spruce up that frontage. So I think there's going to be things that we can do on the slope, ground covers and other things like that, just to make it look a little bit nicer. And then at the top of the slope, kind of where all these trailers currently are, but onto the grass side, doing some buffer plantings there. And if a couple of street trees will take, if we have enough room and our engineers say that they'll take, we have no objection to putting in a few additional trees on that frontage.
I would like to see a few, you don't want to block your building because you are in the business of getting customers. But it would be nice to have something, since it's going to be garage doors all the way across there.
Yeah, and luckily we do have our primary signage. There's the existing sign there. So we do have that available. And if you're heading, I guess it's kind of northboundish on Davisville, you will still have the opportunity to see the building from that direction. And anybody coming from the turnpike or from the township building from this direction, you're going to turn left on Davisville and you'll have pretty good visibility. So Fred is going to want to make sure that that's aesthetically pleasing when you come through there.
Since you're not doing building renovations out, you're staying inside the walls. The only building that you are doing is the retaining wall and some blacktop there.
That's correct.
Okay. And that's where the stormwater comes into effect.
Correct.
Okay.
And we have done, I think it's the internet connection more than anything, but we have done some preliminary analysis to determine that we have enough space to handle any stormwater improvements that are necessary for that additional impervious.
Okay, that's pretty much, I think, the only questions I have. It's going to be a lot of traffic going in and out, you're saying, during the day with your box trucks. That's when most of it
Correct.
Is going, parts.
Correct. The majority of the traffic here is from that permitted part of that by right portion of the use, which is the parts warehouse, and it's the box trucks. But that entrance, once you come up the access drive, that effectively has its own area, which is not really commingling with the standard vehicle traffic that will head to the rear, the Y2K9 users. It's nice to have that separated from the rest of the use. So that'll be on the front, whereas then the collision repair, the office support personnel, and when Y2K9 is operating, all of that will be occurring to the rear, so they won't have as much commingling with those two pieces of traffic.
Okay, I know we can't do much for the tow trucks coming in at night, legally from our standpoint, except for we do have a noise ordinance at 10 o'clock. So that's the only thing we can enforce. We were just asking for that just for the residents.
And that's why, after speaking with Paul, after talking to the planning agency and speaking with your solicitor, I made sure to have our team go back and try and get exact numbers so that I could bring that to your attention. And it is important to note, we are not a towing company. And so the likelihood of overnight deliveries is dramatically reduced. I do not want to stand in front of this board and say it will never happen, because it could. So
you didn't get exact numbers on?
I did. I present exact numbers in terms of the number of truck deliveries, the number of repair vehicles, and the hours of operation, which I can
Got
repeat
you,
if
but
you'd like.
not likely tow, like your
Overnight.
business now brings in towing to somewhere.
Correct. The overnight towing, without that towing contract and without our own towing service, that is not a critical component of our operation. So it is something that, while we can't say will never happen overnight, is just not a regular part of the business. There are many towing operations. We all see them on the turnpike, right? Rob's Towing and a couple others. Wherever their yard is, all night you're seeing that tow truck come in and drop vehicles off. That is not this operation. EVB towing, which is another you see along Pennsylvania Turnpike, that they have a contract to remove those vehicles, and so they have to be on call 24/7. That is not what this is intended to be.
Got it. So I hear it's not regular, but even getting woken up, once a week is not great. I don't know if some landscape buffering could help reduce the noise back there.
It's heavy buffer.
I know there's the trees, but it noted that most of them are deciduous trees, so in the winter,
It is.
might not
it
help
is-
much.
Today, if you were back on Cowbell, and I did not go there today, but if you went there on Cowbell today, since we all lost all of our leaves this past week, I'm sure you can see, and actually the street view on Google is actually a winter time photo. You can just barely see the top of the building from the street view. Now, I'm sure any resident sitting in the second floor of their home can see down into the parking lot. But with our proposed wall, a lot of that activity is contained. So the wall itself will also help with that sound deadening, because with an 8-foot wall and the activity mostly happening below that, that will certainly help to deaden any noise. Unfortunately, any landscaping that we would plant on top of the wall, while we may do some, because you don't want to just look at a fence, it's not likely to have any significant impact beyond the buffering that exists today. We're happy to work with the township engineer and improve that look and add some buffer plantings there. We're happy to do that. But that brings me, actually, if I can, sorry, to another point. Any fencing that we provide, we want to put at the top of the wall. We do not want to invade this buffer and go put a fence on our property line. It might block the view a little bit better if we did it up there, but to me, leaving this as open as we can is going to be better for any neighbors that we have. So any fencing that we are proposing, let me come back to that plan, we will simply do for safety purposes along the top here, rather than putting it 135 feet into that buffer. To us, that's more intrusive. So that's worth pointing out.
Any other commissioner comments?
Can you approximate how many trees are going to be removed with that wall? And then I have one other after that.
Bob, do you?
We haven't done the calculations yet, but most certainly they will be kept to a minimum. As you can see, there's probably 4 or 5 right along the right-hand side of that wall where it's at its greatest that we might be impacted. But we can most certainly, like Rob said, do some planting along the top to help screen out some of that stuff.
I can try to do better. You can see the clearing limit on that plan, and you can see that there are a few trees around the wall that would be impacted, but you can see that the vast majority of that buffer would be able to be retained.
Got it. And so since there isn't going to be a gate, how are you proposing to secure the property from anyone else getting in after hours, et cetera?
So our security is generally based on technology. We will have lighting on this facility at all times, and there are cameras at all times. We have our trash and our recycled materials will be in fully enclosed, locked containers that will be on site. They're fully enclosed, you won't know what's in there, but those will be locked. But the facility itself is really technologically reliant in terms of cameras and so forth.
Thank you.
A lot of the vehicles won't be drivable at that point, so hard to do anything with them, but.
Any questions from the general public on this application?
Sir, if you can just state your name and your address for the record, too.
Sure. Jeremy Rosenberg, 2814 Edge Hill Road. Jeremy Rosenberg, 2814 Edge Hill Road. Very nice presentation. An intention is not an obligation. There's no intention to ramp up the towing. There is no towing contract. It would be nice if you were willing to stipulate that there will be no towing contract. That's not where this is going. Everybody can become different people over time. This is a very nice presentation. An intention is not an obligation. If we're concerned about towing, is Fred Beans prepared to have an obligation that they will not make this a towing facility?
Again, some of the stuff they do get, as it goes through land development and the zoning and everything else, there's only certain limits that we can put on.
I understand. The applicant can be asked if they're prepared to. I understand what you can do and what you can't do. You can ask if the applicant will make that a stipulation.
That's right.
Let me just have one moment with.
Sure.
If the Board of Commissioners is inclined to grant the conditional use and impose a condition, we would accept a condition that would require us to come back and open the conditional use hearing if we were to have a towing contract. So we would agree that unless or until we obtained an amended conditional use approval, that we would not have a towing contract for this property.
Okay.
If the board is willing to do that, we can certainly write that into a decision.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the board can impose any conditions agreeable to the applicant. So even though it might exceed what would normally be the conditions, I understand it's a concern. It's a concern of neighbors. It's a condition that we're willing to agree to at this point.
Okay, we had a question?
Thank you.
Come up.
Hello, I'm Caitlin Santos, 637 Sampson Avenue. And my question is, I don't know anything about auto repair or auto body repair, but I'm curious about any environmental ramifications, any sort of disposal that we should be concerned about, any kind of like waste that might be, like, how does that work? Just out of curiosity.
Good question, important question. We are regulated. We have certain materials on site that are all regulated. For example, painting has very strict regulations in terms of painting booths to make sure that any discharge meets all DEP and EPA requirements. With respect to liquids and things of that nature, they do have to be collected and disposed of in appropriate manners, and we will abide by all those regulations. Because we will have additional vehicles in the rear, when we go through the process of designing the stormwater management with the township's engineer, we will have collectors to make sure that before any of that water is discharged, that any pollutants are removed. And that's part of that process we'll go through with the township engineer.
Is there anybody else in the room that would like to make any other comments? Okay, do you have a closing comment? We're going to leave this open because we will not vote on it until, do we have a date?
December 1st.
Was it?
December 1st.
December 1st is when we would put it on the agenda to vote. So we will leave it open just in case there's a question between now and then.
Excellent.
But other than that, you can make a closing whatever you'd
The
like.
board heard my closing as my intro, which is just being mindful of the standards for conditional use, and I appreciate your time this evening.
Counselor, do you want to move your exhibits into the record formally too?
Yes, applicants exhibit, I would ask that you accept into the record applicants exhibits A1 through A7.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you need a
It's been
motion.
48 years since I bought my first car from Fred Bates. Just so you know, none of you were there probably 48 years ago.
Fred was. He's still there.
So you need a motion to continue the hearing until December 1st.
Yes, we need a motion.
So moved.
Motion to continue.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Thank you very much. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, so moved.
Thank you very much.
We'll give you a few minutes to, it's okay. Okay, now we'll move into our, the rest of our regular meeting. Public comments, non-agenda items only. Okay, treasurer's activity report.
I make a motion to, oh, okay.
Yes, okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm Cindy Rosenberg. I live on Edge Hill Road in Huntington Valley. Just here today to thank you, heartfelt thank you, tremendous, and to express gratitude for the thoughtful statement that you issued about a welcoming policy for our township. And I also want to thank Chief Bendick very much for meeting with me and for the opportunity to hear some of his concerns as well. Particularly excited about the way you framed it, to remain in a very inclusive way, to say that we're fostering a safe, inclusive, and respectful community for all who live, work, and visit Upper Moreland Township. When I read that, I felt so proud. So that's it. I'm just here to say thank you on behalf of Indivisible and our 67 members who live in Upper Moreland. We all felt safe, but we wanted everybody here to feel safe. So, and we do.
I thank you for all of your work, because we all agree with you.
Yeah, no, it's, and I know, you know, I gave a Martin Luther King quote last time. I'll give my favorite Edmund Burke. He was, for anyone who doesn't know, he was an 18th century Irish statesman. And he said, all that's necessary for evil to triumph is that good people do nothing. And I feel like a week ago, a lot of good people in this room did something, and that something really matters. It's impactful, and we're grateful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Okay, treasurer's activity, oh, go ahead, one more.
Another one. Over there. Hi, I'm Caitlin Santos on Sampson Avenue. I'm also just echoing Cindy's thanks. My family was here until it was bedtime and homework time and everything. So I'm also including them, you know, on behalf of my thank you for the same reason to our police chief, the force. As Cindy said, it means a lot. And I'd also, you know, hope that this partnership and the work that we're doing continues to grow and that we move in that positive direction. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Still Jeremy Rosenberg, still on Edge Hill Road. And thank you as well. It's comprehensive for the community, for the whole community. And thank you to the chief. Thank you to all the commissioners.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, now I'll take a motion for treasurer's activity report.
I make a motion to accept the treasurer's activity report for October 2025.
Motion and a second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Nope.
Any discussion from public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, so moved.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for October 6, 2025.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, so moved. Community recommendations, community development.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have two on the table today. One is land development subdivision application. So a motion to approve resolution R 2025-21. So this is granting approval for waiver request for a subdivision application for a 3-lot subdivision at 2400 Pioneer Road. The applicant currently has it all on one lot, wants to split it in 3 subdivisions. This was discussed in committee. We did ask for them to put some sidewalks on 2 of the properties for the new subdivision, and we have approved this out of committee.
Okay, we have a motion. Are we putting in the motion were there any waivers on this one?
Yeah.
4 waivers.
4 waivers.
Okay, the 4 waivers? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we are voting on this, and does anybody from the board have any questions on any of the waivers or the whole motion? Anybody from the public?
Well, I have a question.
Oh.
Yeah, which is rare, right? So waiver request letter B, which would be page 2 of the resolution, it's section 35018, is a waiver request to exclude the installation of sidewalk along Pioneer Road. Commissioner
Right.
Mullen had just mentioned essentially that they had agreed, the applicant had agreed to install that sidewalk, or are we talking about a different area?
Sidewalk in front of the 2 new properties.
They did at the meeting. After that, I did get some more information from Jim Hirsch, and I'm actually okay with not doing any sidewalks.
Okay.
I don't know how you all feel.
Davisville Road, I think is the big.
Well, and yeah, and there's not likely ever going to be sidewalk along there. And, the point was to put them in front of those 2 houses so that, they could walk along and cross. But probably what those residents will do is they'll walk down their driveway and cross there.
To the sidewalk. on the opposite
Right.
side.
But yet putting in those sidewalks, they'd have to then, make sure they're plowed or not plowed, but, cleaned up in the winter.
With snow, yeah.
So it does seem.
Okay, so I take back my statement and that.
And this is how it is how it's worded here, currently, to not have any sidewalks. But yes, Damon, I'm glad you brought it up, because that is how the meeting ended.
Correct.
The committee
So I
meeting.
take back my statement that we are putting inside, requiring them to put sidewalks on the 2 new subdivisions.
Perfect. Okay. We could amend it either way, but just wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did I ask for general public? Okay. With that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, so moved.
And our other item is to advertise the bids for the Mill Creek Dam repairs. Our township engineer talked to us about, he went and visited the Mill Creek Dam and it needs repairs. So we have to advertise that. And that was discussed in committee.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, second. Any discussions for the Mill Creek Dam, which is at the Turnpike interchange? From the board, any questions? Any questions from the public? This is just a repair to it that has come up that we are responsible for. Okay, with that, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Against, abstain, motion passes. Next, we have public health and safety.
Thank you. Public health and safety has one thing on our agenda tonight. I'm going to ask our township manager to discuss that.
Thank you, Commissioner. PennDOT has informed us.
Second first, I guess second, okay.
Thank you. PennDOT has informed us that they will be repaving sections of Turwood Road. We don't know when they're going to repave yet. We haven't gotten a timeline. But in their information that they've sent to us and the county, they are offering to add bicycle lanes on Turwood Road from York Road to Davisville Road. It'd be a bicycle lane in each direction. They would also retain travel in each direction for vehicles and a center turn lane. The road is wide enough to do that. So their proposal is from York Road out to Davisville Road. They've asked for our feedback. They will bear the cost of all of the improvements. The responsibility would then fall to the township for the maintenance of those, which might mean painting some bicycle figures on the roadway or replacing some signs. We estimate a minimal cost at about $250, I believe, annually. Did speak to our insurance provider. Our rates will not increase. However, they did mention that if there is an incident, depending on the severity of the incident, we could see a rate increase.
Okay, with this, I guess my comment is at least we're giving the bicyclist a place to be on that road, especially with the school there. My only problem is it's the same way all over the state probably. Dumps down into two intersections that then it goes nowhere. So that is, I guess, my only problem, but they go onto the sidewalk probably from there, or they're going to do what they do now. But this will delineate it. It's no different than Fitzwatertown. They did it all the way through Abington from Lulu Country Club, I think, all the way up when they paved that side. Well, through Abington Township, they put them in. I'm just glad they're finally going to pave the road. So, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I support this also, and I hear you, it's just one section of road there, but just like the sidewalks, that we get them when we can. I hope we're doing that with the bike lanes, so.
Any other comments from the board? Any comments from the public on this? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? So moved. Next, Finance Administration Committee.
Thank you, Commissioner. The committee recommends the Board of Commissioners take action on the following. First, we have the reappointment of Charles Jones on the Parks and Rec Advisory Council for a 2-year term expiring October 2nd, 2027.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Any discussion from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? So moved.
All right, next is the list of bills payable. General fund checks beginning with check number 145666, ending with check number 146014, for a total of $4,141,787.02. Escrow fund checks beginning with check number 9952, ending with check number 9963, for a total of $29,461.88. And liquid fuel fund checks beginning with check number 3218, ending with check number 3223, for a total of $7,397.90.
Second.
We have a second. Okay. Any discussion from anybody on the board?
Nope.
Any discussion from anybody in the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? So moved.
And the final item is a motion to approve a $2,500 donation to the local food bank.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any discussion from anybody on the board?
Just that this came up at the meeting for the budget, 2026 budget, and we did add this amount for the budget next year, and we thought it'd be a good idea. Now is an important, critical time, so wanted to add it to this year's expenditures also, to do our small part for the donation to the food bank, it'll be to the Willow Grove Baptist Church. They run, I think, the largest one in our area.
And we do have it in our accounts. So it's not like we're adding something to a budget or anything else.
Right, we're increasing that charitable contribution.
And there actually is not a food bank in Upper Moreland, if I was mistaken, and that church is in Abington. But
yep.
Still serves, what we call the Willow Grove area of Abington.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to that point, Nick, this was Nick's idea, thank you.
Sure. Any questions from the public? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, so moved. Parks and Recreation Committee.
Yes, we have a motion to approve and authorize the Director of Parks and Recreation to submit a Tree City USA application. I don't know much.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. I think this has to be done every year. Is that correct, Pat?
I believe it's every year. Kate notes in here it's 2 years. I'm not sure if it's every year or every 2 years, but yes, we've done this in the past. It's time to do it once again.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the general public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, so moved.
And the second item is to approve the 2026 Arbor Day proclamation.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. And this has to be done for us to keep our designation.
It's part of the application process, yes.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, so moved. With that, any commissioner comments? I'll make one. Congratulations to everybody that won in the election. This board will be changing at the very beginning of next year. It'll be interesting. A lot of new people, a lot of new people, which is good. That, okay, that and...
Wait a minute. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. We want to say our thanks for many, many years of service to all our veterans for the freedom that our flag flies. Thank you.
And today is the Marine Corps birthday,
250
250
years
years today. So, okay, I will say, we did lose Jim Kelly tonight. I often stop police officers and ask them questions. A lot of times they don't want to talk to us and tell us what they think problems are. And I did get permission from all the chiefs that have been here for the last 16 years to do that, because we're always looking to see what can we do better. And I do want to say, Jim never holds back. He told you the truth. He told you how he felt. And I appreciated that, because we have made some changes because of some things he said in the past. He's a big asset after hearing all these other townships that knew him. And I just wish him well tonight. With that, we're adjourned. Thank you.